Hello, and welcome to the GLP-1 Hub podcast. My name is Anna Reisdorf. I'm a registered dietitian and GLP-1 user. Today on the podcast, we are going to have Dr. Kamila Kashani. She is the Chief Medical Officer at Lindora Weight Loss and Wellness, and they are a clinic that helps people lose weight located in Southern California. They are planning to expand their offerings because they do provide a significant amount of support for people's metabolic health. So she has a lot of really interesting things to say about the foundations of health and weight loss. I think you're really going to enjoy this interview. Also, if you want even more support, we have our GLP-1 Hub Facebook group. So do not forget about joining that. You're just going to want to search GLP-1 Hub support and community on Facebook, and that will come up. We also have our brand new store. So on there, I have created meal plans for you, recipe collections, and our getting started guide called Beyond the Shot. And that is going to give you the foundation for everything you need for your GLP-1 journey. So be sure to go to our website at glp-1hub.com and visit the store. We also have a ton of free articles on there and about a variety of topics that you can just grab. So you're going to want to be sure to visit the website. And let's get on to the episode. All right. Thank you so much for being here today, and welcome to the GLP-1 Hub podcast. I'm really excited to interview Dr. Kamila Kashani of Lindora and tell us a little bit about you and what you do at Lindora.
Well, thank you so much, Anna, for having me in your podcast today. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And so my history kind of goes back to when I became a family physician doctor back in 2004. So it's been a while. And I kind of jumped into the obesity medicine as an obesity medicine specialist back in 2013 when the American Medical Association actually decided to call obesity a disease. That's when it was actually deemed a disease from that time. And I have been in this field practicing both as a family physician and also as an obesity medicine specialist. And recently, with my new role at Lindora as their chief medical officer, I am just excited to take this brand to the next level. And hopefully we can reach more people and help more people when it comes to weight loss.
So how long have you been at Lindora?
It's actually just been 3 months, so it's pretty 3 or 4 months, so it's been pretty new actually. That's it hasn't been a long time, but I am very excited about this journey. Lindora has been in Southern California for decades now, and we are taking Lindora nationwide so more people can benefit from what Lindora has to offer to them.
Oh, I didn't realize that it was only Southern California because I'm from Southern California and I thought it was a nationwide thing. So look at me learning.
We do have one clinic in Washington, and that is it. Other than that, it is in Southern California mostly.
Yep. Okay. So what kind of work do you do at Lindora? Like, what are some of the offerings that you guys have?
So Lindora is about metabolic health. As we know, with the condition of obesity, it really affects the metabolic health. So in Lindora, we just want to be able to attack is not the best word, but to be able to manage all the different aspects when it comes to metabolic health so that we can have a better weight loss journey and to hopefully be able to keep that weight off as long as we possibly can. But before I go into that, I kind of want to just mention obesity is a very complex disease. When it came out, there's a definition that went behind what obesity actually is. And the definition is that it's a complex, multifactorial, chronic, and relapsing disease. With all of those fancy words put there, it is a complicated problem to solve. So with Lindora, we have tried to come and try to attack as much of the disease as we possibly can in order to be able to have people be more successful in this journey. So as far as our offerings go, of course, nutrition is a huge aspect when we talk about any type of weight loss. Physical activity is also a big aspect of it, but behavioral modifications is one big thing that really needs some hand holding and coaching through. So that's also another part that we do that maybe some places are not that really doing it to the point that they have to. We have check-ins regularly. We do booster injections, vitamin injections that we do to help with that metabolic health and to have the body in a ready place so that it can let go of the fat and not so much of the muscle. And that's what we hope to accomplish. We know that a big part with weight loss, especially in women, in men as well, as we age, becomes hormonal changes that happen, which makes it very difficult for us to lose weight. So we do have hormone replacement therapy to be able to. We also have IV hydration when people need more boost in their vitamin and nutrient supplementation. So we really have tried to kind of take all aspects that could possibly help. And all of these things, the one thing that we do know about weight loss, it's not one size fits all, right? It is so individualized. The amount of genetics that goes into it, with everything that goes into it, it is an individualized journey for everybody, and no two are the same. So sometimes I see on the internet when people are trying to kind of compare their own journey with others, and it really is one of the most important things about that coaching aspect is to be able to set expectations, right? We are not our neighbor, we are not our friend. Our genetic is completely different. Every single person is. So keeping that in mind as we go through it, that's really what we're great at doing in Lindora.
So tackling it from a whole person point of view. So starting with the nutrition part of it, what are some of the ways that somebody could kind of, you mentioned like get their body ready or make it more effective for them to lose weight. What are some of the key aspects there when it comes to nutrition from your point of view?
So when we talk about diet or nutrition for weight loss, it is very important to focus on. So whenever we have any type of weight loss, as you know, it's not just the fat that we're losing, we're also losing muscle mass. So the most important thing is to minimize the muscle mass loss and to maximize the fat loss that we're having. And in order to do that, one of the most important things is focusing on protein. So protein intake becomes very important. And at Lindora, we have different memberships that we have, but during the actual weight loss, 10-week weight loss that we have to set the body up, we do a keto diet. So we do concentrate mostly on protein and fat with minimization of the carbs. However, after that 10-week period, then we have those complex, nutrient-dense, fiber-rich carbs that are then added into the nutrition to help take the person forward in their journey. That is basically the best diet that we can have. Whole foods, nutrient dense, especially with GLP-1s now in the market, reducing the appetite. It is so important that we are getting those nutrient dense food in our system. And of course, hydration is the top aspect of any type of weight loss.
Sure. So is there a specific protein goal that you recommend, or if somebody, is trying to not lose that muscle mass because it's so important?
Right. So it's about 120 grams of protein, 90 to 120. We do have a body composition analysis. We have a machine that we use, the InBody, which kind of gives us a very complete analysis of the body, how much fat percentage the body has, how much muscle they have, segmental muscle in the arms, in the legs, the visceral fat, which we know is so important when it comes to metabolic health. So it kind of gives us just an idea of how the body is. And based on that, based on the muscle mass that we see on there, then we can be a little bit more, targeted with the protein intake of the patient.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what we shoot for, but 90 minimum.
Yeah, I wish that every medical provider who is prescribing GLP-1s would do some type of in-body analysis to show you've lost muscle, check this out. But sometimes they just write it and say, bye.
Right. These machines are not cheap. Of course, these machines are expensive. So that kind of puts a lot of providers at a loss when it comes. And we don't really know when we see weight loss is happening on the scale. Where's it coming from, really? Is it from the fat? Is it from the muscle? So these machines really help us. And then if we see that somebody is losing too much muscle, then we can guide them. How is your diet? Are you eating the way you're supposed to be? Are you getting all your protein in? Are you getting enough physical activity where you're not losing the muscle that you already have? Because last thing we want to do is set the person up for failure down the line. We want to make sure that we can keep them as healthy as possible, keep this weight loss as healthy as possible, so that down the line, it's not that now they have much less muscle than they started with, and now that's going to really work against them.
Right, right. So speaking of muscle, what are your recommendations around exercise? Because that's the second part of the
Right.
muscle.
Absolutely. When it comes to weight loss, of course, everyone has always talked about cardio. Cardio has its space, but making sure that we're actually building muscle and we're doing resistance training is probably the most important aspect of weight loss. As we said, when weight loss happens, it is natural for fat loss and muscle loss to happen at the same time, but we don't want to lose that muscle. So in order not to do that, resistance training and muscle building exercises, lifting and things like that become extremely important. So when someone is on this journey to lose weight, it is important with that physical activity to add in that resistance training. Cardio is not going to be enough. They can have cardio in there if they wish, but that strength training is the most important aspect.
And do you guys guide them at Lindora?
We also have, through our sister brands, we do have a online aspect that they can log into, and then they can do some exercises. We have different types of exercises that there's there that they can choose to do at home.
Cool. And so finally, one of the biggest aspects, I think, is the behavior change. Because even if you lose a lot of weight on a GLP-1, let's say your insurance changes and you can't get it anymore. So if you just go back to all the habits, what's going to happen, right? So you have to start implementing those changes. So how do you approach the behavioral change piece of the weight loss journey?
Because we have our clients come in so often, it does give us an opportunity to really talk about all aspects of behavior that can help, whether for us to gain weight or lose weight, right? So they are given guidance through that whenever they come into the office. If they're having any plateaus, if they're having any issues with their weight loss, of course, questioning comes in, trying to figure out what could be happening, what can be changed. But as you know, we do not, the last thing, medications are great, they have their space, right? And the GLP-1s have just been incredible at helping with this issue. We never want to use a medication as a crutch, right? So, and even if they continue to be, as we said, obesity is a chronic disease. It is not going away. So making sure that we set in some good habits in place to get us going, because discipline can only work for so long, right? After that, it's our habits that are going to continue us down the line in the long run. So it is so important to set those good habits in. And the whole process, and the reason that our memberships are a 1-year membership, is to get that habit in, to teach people how to live a life where you can have all these aspects that come into our weight and be able to then continue that down the line.
So what are some of those habits that you try to get them to put in place? Obviously, besides the eating well and exercise, is anything else that you focus on?
Sleep, stress management. Of course, we are not a counseling place, but being able to notice that as our nurses are trained, our providers are trained, being able to notice that so that clients can get the help that they need. But that stress management is a big part of it. Emotional health, which goes into the stress management, those are all a huge, big part of it. The other behaviors of it, goal setting. We don't talk about that enough. Being able to weigh yourself on a regular basis. One of the big things that I say is out of sight, out of mind. So if we are not weighing ourselves on a regular basis, by the time that we actually notice that our clothes are tight on us, it can be 10 pounds, at least 5 pounds if you are thin, and 10 pounds or more if you're heavier set. So keeping these checks and balances are extremely important.
Sure. Definitely. And so are you at Lindora, are you using GLP-1 as a tool as part of your
Yeah.
program?
Yes, yes, we are. We continue to also offer other weight loss medications that's been around for a while, and all of them have their own space, right? Right now with the GLP-1s, we see a lot more benefits than just weight loss. But to tell you the truth, I've also seen some patients that GLP-1s are not necessarily the issue that they're having, and it's not necessarily, it doesn't really work for them like it does for others. So it's kind of just taking a look at the whole person, right? Pivot when we need to. What works, what doesn't. So yes, but we do offer GLP-1s. It's one of the most important aspects of the weight loss nowadays.
Sure. So when you say it doesn't work for someone, like what are some of the things that might be going on where it doesn't work for them? Obviously, there's a few contraindications,
Of course.
but what else might make it not work? Like I've heard that around a little bit.
And a good question. And that's where the complexity of obesity comes in, right? There are more and more as time passes, we have identified more genetic aspects, more genes that are involved with weight gain, metabolism, and all of that. So it is very difficult to pinpoint why it may not work because we don't really know. Hopefully down the line, we can actually be able to, genetic makeup of a person and be able, oh, this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem. Now let's attack it. Like, wouldn't that be amazing, right? But at this time, it's hard to pinpoint why it's not working for them. But I do have some patients that turn around and they tell me, listen, it didn't do anything for me. I don't feel my appetite hasn't been suppressed. Nothing has happened. It's as if I wasn't taking it. So I've had that subset of patients, especially with a GLP-1 agonist alone. Now we have the dual agonist with the GLP-1 and the GIP, which sometimes it does tend to work on patients who are not responding to the GLP-1.
And I think there's another one coming down the line. I've been hearing some rumors, a triple agonist.
Yes, it's been in the works for some time, so we are just waiting to see when that may come out and what the final studies show as far as the weight loss goes with it. GLP-1s are here to stay,
Yep.
and hopefully we can just get it better and better and better as time goes on, just like we've had with any other disease, right? When blood pressure issues came out long, long time ago, we didn't have a single medication, and our first medication stuck. It was horrible. Then little by little, we just learned, and now we can manage the blood pressure just so nicely. So hopefully this is what's going to happen now that obesity is known as a disease, as a chronic issue that we can now work on to treatment of it and have better medications.
Right. So if you're a person on a GLP-1, because you offer a pretty comprehensive program, would
Yes.
you like to see everybody get involved with some kind of support, or do you think that there's people that can just do it on their own?
Often I think so. Coaching is important. In life, coaching is important, right? Oftentimes we are blindsided with what we cannot see and cannot pick out. So I would say this, if someone is having problems and not losing weight, it is important for them to get a coach. But it is important to do the GLP-1s right. Oftentimes what I see is that people don't eat enough. And when they eat, they're eating the same type of stuff. They're like no nutrient in the food that they're eating, which down the line, they're becoming depleted from all the vitamins and the nutrients in their body. And that causes disease in itself, right? So the coaching aspect, so if someone really knows how to eat right with it and exercise, and if it's working for them, okay, great, I understand. But if it's not working, then they're blindsided to something.
Right. No, I agree. I believe that everybody should have some guidance because I agree with you. The reason why I started this podcast and everything is because I saw the people in my community and what they were doing. And I was like, everyone is going to have malnutrition very soon. Like, yeah, you look great, but
Yes.
what are you eating, or not eating at all? So I think that's a vital part.
And as you know, as a dietitian, what we eat is everything. This is how we get our body to work properly. So if we're not giving it what it needs, then it is, of course, going to go into a disease state, one disease or another.
Right. Definitely. So one last question for you. Where do you see the future in the GLP-1s? There's a lot coming down the pipeline. So what are you thinking we're going to be in 10 years with this?
As I said, I think this is just the beginning of an exciting ride. And there are more and more indications coming out for the GLP-1. So it's not just weight loss anymore. There is new medications that are coming out for MASH, which is your fatty liver, which has become a huge problem, which we were estimating that, in 10 years from now, there's going to be more cirrhosis from fatty liver than anything else. So there is those medications that are coming out with those indications as GLP-1s. Of course, more and more we have our two big companies that are on this, the Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly. They have other medications that are coming down the pipeline. Nobody's talking about it because it hasn't really entered into a big, and then of course we have all of the rest of the pharmaceuticals just doing their best to come up. So this line of medication, it is not going anywhere, and it is just going to get better and better and better.
Definitely. Definitely. I think it's an exciting part of medicine. Everybody who I've been speaking to is like, oh, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen.
What is next?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Kashani, for being here with me today and sharing all of your insights. And where can we find out more about Lindora and your expansion, worldwide expansion?
Right. So, of course, online on lindora.com, we have all our locations listed. So that's one place that clients can go and check us out.
Perfect.
Um,
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much for listening today to the GLP-1 Hub podcast. So grateful that you're here, and we have had so much success, so many listeners. It's been really an incredible journey. If you are enjoying the podcast, I would love it if you could take a second and leave a review. Even if you just click the 5 stars, that would be great. Or you can leave a written review. That's even better. So that helps us grow and get better guests and continue along this journey to help you. If you want to be on the podcast, I would love to have more GLP-1 users on the podcast. You can email me at hello@glp1hub.com, and make sure you're following along in our Facebook group and on Instagram at GLP-1 Hub. And I'd love to connect with you and help you along your journey. All right. Have a great day. See you next week.